Hi everyone, my name is Kate Theobald. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Research. I am UWG's National Scholarships and Fellowships Advisor. Thanks for joining me for this National Scholarships and Fellowships Development Workshop for freshmen and sophomores. This workshop will offer a broad overview of National Scholarships and Fellowships specifically for underclassmen so that you can focus on what you need to do to prepare well to make application to some of these National Fellowships Awards during your junior and senior year. And we'll even talk about some awards that you can apply for as a freshman or sophomore, things that you can access pretty soon. First, I'm going to talk about the big three. These are the three things where you really need to put most of your energy as an underclassman and even as you continue on through your entire undergraduate career. If you've watched the National Scholarships and Fellowships Broad Overview webinar, you'll see a lot of repeated information here. I know some people will watch both, but not everyone will, so I want to make sure that we go over a lot of the information that's important in both. So even if this is a repeat for you, hopefully you'll learn something new and it's good information to review. So if you are any major other than a science or math major, your big three areas to focus on are leadership, service, and academics. If you're a science or math major, that service component is replaced with research. So you'll focus on leadership, research, and academics. Though for everyone, service is important and research is important. So it's still all four things are areas where you want to put some focus. It just depends on your major and what you want to go into for where you're putting the majority of your time and attention. So for those non-science and math majors, it's really important that you hold consistent membership in an organization and that you have a leadership position at least as a junior or senior. So it's more important to be really involved in one or two activities than it is to be just on the roll in 10 or 12 different clubs or organizations. And as an underclassman, you may just be exploring what it is that you can join, what your goals are, what's fun for you, and we'll talk some more about picking out different activities and things you can be involved in a little bit later in this presentation. But do know that it's consistent membership and then stepping into leadership roles that will help your application to stand out rather than being able to list 10 different things that you're probably not quite as dedicated to. You also want to do consistent, meaningful community service in an area that you're passionate about. And it's really important that it's in an area that you are passionate about because most fellowships applications are going to look for common themes or common threads throughout your application. So if you want to go into a healthcare profession, you really want to help, say, children in a certain way as a pediatrician or whatever that looks like for you. Your community service should be something that involves helping kids. That's pretty broad and that's okay, but you want some of those common threads throughout your application rather than it looking like things are kind of disjointed or you just joined an opportunity because it was available without really thinking if it was meaningful for you. You also want to maintain a strong GPA. Those classes are really important, even through your core, maybe especially through your core, as you're discovering what it is that you really enjoy learning about, what it is that you maybe want to major in if you haven't chosen a major. And maintaining a strong GPA is going to be really important, especially as you find fellowships or scholarships later on as an upperclassman that require a minimum GPA. And like I said earlier, you still do want to take advantage of undergraduate research opportunities. You can research in literally any area. I know we tend to think of the hard sciences like chemistry, biology, physics when we think of undergraduate research, but there's research to be had in every area. You can research in English, in art history, in theater. So even if your major doesn't seem right away like a research-heavy major, there are still opportunities for you, and taking advantage of those opportunities will help your application to stand out. Now, if you are a science or math major, I spent some time speaking to those non-science majors, but if you are science and math, research is going to be really important for you. So you want to start early. You may not be able to start right away as a freshman. You need to develop those relationships with your faculty members. Sometimes you need to take certain prerequisite courses before you can begin on a particular research project. But you do want to seek out those opportunities, definitely as a sophomore. Start asking your faculty members if they or a colleague have an ongoing project that you can be part of, or maybe there's a paper or project that came out of a class that you really enjoyed that you could extend working with a faculty mentor. So it's really important that you get your feet wet with research as soon as you can, and then that you continue that research and have at least 1 to 2 presentations as a junior or senior. It is also just as important for you to hold consistent membership in an organization, then leading to a leadership position, just like we talked about with the non-science and math majors. It's important for you to maintain a strong GPA. And then community service will still boost your applications. So just like the humanities majors were still encouraged to do research, science and math folks, you are still encouraged to do community service in an area that is meaningful and important to you. So freshman year, what can you do? This is a time of exploration, self-discovery. It's really important that you get to know yourself. What interests you? What do you see yourself doing after college? What activities or organizations might best fit your goals? What are those goals? What's your story? How did you get here? Where are you going? All of those are really big questions, but it's important to start thinking about those questions. Maybe even pause the video and jot down some answers to those. You may be thinking that you don't have an answer to some of those. Well, this is the perfect year to try out some different organizations, to take a wide variety of classes, and see if you can develop some answers to those questions, because that'll be important as you're writing later on in fellowships applications. It'll be important for you to know where your passions are and what you see yourself doing next. So often students' goal was to get to college, and now you're here and it's time to set the next goal. So it's really important that you do some self-reflection and figure out what that next step might be for you. And then also get involved. Try some new things. Yes, it's so important to have consistent membership in something, but that doesn't mean you have to absolutely stick with the very first club you join, even if you don't like it. If you love it, that's fantastic. But if you don't, continue to try out some new things. Get involved, become part of the fabric and the community of the university. Then your sophomore year, you can continue that involvement and start looking for some leadership opportunities. Leadership does not have to look like being the president of your organization. Sometimes you can show some great leadership skills as a member who took on a certain project or was part of a committee. You may want to be president of a certain organization, and that's fantastic. But just know that leadership doesn't necessarily come with a title. It's more about how you saw a need and stepped up to fill that need. If you simply hold a position with a title but don't do anything innovative with it, you just kind of keep the organization running, you don't have much to write about in a fellowships application. So you want to look for areas within the organizations, clubs that you're involved in that you can really make a positive difference. Also, as a sophomore, it's time to start identifying some scholarships that you're interested in. One in particular comes to mind, the Truman Scholarship, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They want to see that students have had internship experiences, volunteer experiences, and if you find that application as a junior, and you have to submit Truman as a junior, and you don't have those things, there's really not time to get those experiences. So if you find it as a freshman or sophomore, you can work now to make sure that you're meeting all those requirements. And if those requirements include a lengthy experience, you have time for that experience. Sophomore year is also a great time to really start giving back and get involved in that community service. As a freshman, you're finding your footing academically, you're figuring out who you are in this college space. But as a sophomore, you've started answering some of those questions that we explored on the freshman slide, and now you can start putting some of your energy into giving back in areas that are meaningful for you. And also as a sophomore, you can start research. So when you're looking for research opportunities, think about the classes that you've taken that really interested you and how you might extend your learning in that area working with a faculty member. It's really important to think about the faculty you know, who you have good relationships with, and who can help you as you research all undergraduate researchers do need a faculty mentor. So you'll be working very closely with that faculty member on your research. And you can also start applying for certain awards as a sophomore, even a freshman. One of those is Goldwater, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now I'm going to do a very quick overview of a slew of fellowships and scholarships, keeping in mind that this is by no means an exhaustive list. And at this point, what these slides are meant to do is just spark your interest and get you thinking about things that you might apply for in the future. So we're going to go pretty quickly through these, just give a broad overview of these awards. And then if you have any questions about them or want to dig deeper, we'll have some specific webinars on different fellowships, or you can always shoot me an email at kate@westga.edu. So first is Gilman. This is one you can access right away, even the summer between your freshman and sophomore year. As soon as you're able to study abroad, you can access Gilman. Gilman is for undergraduate Pell Grant recipients, and it awards funding for study abroad. The next is Goldwater. Sophomores and juniors can apply for Goldwater. You do need a high GPA. While the minimum is a 3.0, the average is a 3.9. So that's why, like we said earlier, it's important to maintain that high GPA. So if you're a future researcher in the natural sciences, engineering, or math, and you do have that strong GPA, look into Goldwater some more. It can really offer some great opportunities, both in terms of funding and also in terms of your network and the doors that it opens for you. REUs, or research experiences for undergraduates. Again, this is something you can access throughout your entire undergraduate career, even that first summer between freshman and sophomore year. At the time that I'm recording this, it's March, and we are past a lot of the deadlines for REU, so you may be looking at that next summer. But this is something to definitely think about if you want some research experience. If you are an undergraduate science student, or even a student in some of the social sciences, there's some political science, some psychology even. So there are lots of opportunities for REUs for you to spend your summer at another institution working on research with their faculty members. So if that sounds interesting to you, look up REUs or email me for some more information on that. The next is Truman. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Truman is for students who are going into some sort of public service, and that's pretty broadly defined. So that could be education, nonprofit work, law, government work, anything like that, some sort of public service, who are change agents. So not just that you want to enter the field and work in the field, but that you want to enter a public service field and make real, tangible change. Whether that's on a local scale or a national scale, whatever that change is, Truman is looking for students who have big goals and see needs and want to fill those needs. So if that sounds like you apply as a junior. Truman gives you money for graduate school, and it also gives you an incredible network. So if that sounds interesting to you, look at more information on that. Get in touch with me. I'm happy to help guide you through that process. The next is Fulbright. There are two tracks with Fulbright. There's the English teaching assistant and study research. This is something for after you've graduated from undergrad. You start the application process at the tail end of your junior year. It takes about a year to complete a full application cycle from the time that you say, yes, I'm all in, I want to apply, to the time that you have a decision. So it's something you start at the end of junior year and you carry all the way through your senior year. You can even apply as an alum if you find this as a senior. Basically, Fulbright allows you to go abroad for a really in-depth experience of about a year, whether you are earning a graduate degree abroad, working on research abroad, or giving back in a service capacity as an English teaching assistant. If that sounds interesting to you, check out some more information on Fulbright. We will have some webinars specific to certain fellowships, and Fulbright is one of them. Of course, you can always contact me with questions. The next is Madison. This is a pretty niche scholarship, but it's really important for the folks that it applies to. If you are a future high school social studies teacher and you'll be teaching U.S. history to include the U.S. Constitution, there is a fellowship that can pay for your graduate school. It is not a lengthy application process compared to the others. So if that's you, your goal is to teach high school history, there's absolutely no reason not to apply for a Madison. So let's go ahead and chat about that and get this one on your radar. Next is Schwarzman. Schwarzman is for students who are future leaders across all areas. So if you're going to be a leader in medicine, a leader in government, a leader in education, like whatever field that is for you, if you want to truly be a leader on a national scale, you want to be making big change, big difference in the area that you want to go into, Schwarzman could be for you. It allows students to earn a fully funded master's in global affairs from Tsinghua University in Beijing. And even if you've never thought about China and you've never thought about a master's in global affairs, it's that leadership component that you really want to latch onto. And if that sounds interesting to you, check out Schwarzman. Next is JET, the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. This allows you to spend a year abroad teaching English in Japan after you've graduated with your undergraduate degree. You do not need to speak Japanese. JET is looking for native English speakers. And if you're interested in Japan and you want that in-depth cultural experience of really being part of the fabric of the community there, JET could be a great opportunity for you. And the last one we're going to talk about is Peace Corps. It's another in-depth abroad experience that is really for after you've graduated from your undergrad. With Peace Corps, you're volunteering abroad for 2 years in a service capacity. There are so many different areas that you can serve in. And if that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to look up some more information or reach out to me for more information. This is a really unique opportunity that is going to be really interesting, I think, to some of you. So next steps. You kind of know what to do freshman and sophomore year. Your wheels are probably turning at this point. We've gone through a very quick, very broad overview of a handful of different opportunities. So your next steps are to meet with me, and we can do a virtual meeting. So just shoot me an email and we can get that set up. Of course, you can ask questions over email as well. And then to dig into some of these different fellowships opportunities that looked interesting to you. So you can either join the live session. We'll have announcements about those throughout the semester, or you can check out the other recorded webinars for information on specific fellowships that you want to learn a little bit more about. Even though you're only a freshman or sophomore, we're going to get started on the hardest part of the fellowships application process now, and that is writing, specifically writing a personal statement. So your personal statement is kind of like your resume. It's a living document that's going to change and grow as you do, but it's good to have something drafted, even if it's just a Google Doc that you take a look at once a year, once a semester. Your personal statement is a narrative that describes important aspects of who you are that maybe haven't already been detailed in the application questions within an application to. It could be a fellowship, but it could be graduate school, could be a job. You'll need a personal statement probably several times as you move throughout your life. So it's important that we kind of get a little start on that now. So I want you to take out a sheet of paper and pause the video if you need to grab some supplies. And we're going to jot down some answers to these questions, and know that it doesn't have to be perfect at this point. I don't want you to worry about grammar or complete sentences or anything like that. I just want you to get ideas on paper. So between each question, do pause the video. Give yourself time to really reflect and write, maybe 4 or 5 minutes even. You could set a timer if you want. And really spend some time thinking about these questions and writing down some answers to get you started on things that might appear in your personal statement. So first, describe the world that you come from, your family, your community, your school, your experiences, and tell how your world has shaped your dreams and aspirations. So take a minute, pause the video. That's a pretty big, loaded question, and jot down whatever comes to mind as you read through that question. Okay, hopefully you did pause the video and you took some time to write down your answers. Let's move on to our second question, which asks you to think of something you want to apply for in the future. And then, is there a specific story you can tell that gives insight into why you want to apply for this? Okay, hopefully you took some time, pause the video again to jot down your answers to that question, and you're ready to move on to our final question for right now. And that is, what are you doing now, or what have you done in the past that has prepared you for the program you're applying to? Often fellowship applications won't want you to go as far back as high school, though you can right now if you are a freshman or sophomore and you're really just now establishing those activities and what you're doing in college. But as you grow, your personal statement will grow as well as you get into your junior and senior year. So really think about what you're doing as a university student and take a minute to jot down an answer to this question. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, I'm hoping that you actually took the time to pause and to write answers to all of those questions. That is the end of the presentation, so we'll just leave it on this slide. If you have other questions, please do reach out to email me. This presentation is just meant to get you started thinking about fellowships and scholarships, thinking about what it is that you might want to do next. We will have a presentation specifically about writing for scholarships and fellowships, so we'll go a lot more in depth on writing exercises. I hope that this one, though, did get you thinking about what you might write about one day in a personal statement. So again, if you have any questions, please send me an email, kate@westga.edu, and I look forward to working on your fellowships journey with you.